afternoon, everybody. Your friendly neighborhood Fuzz coming in with the latest balance changes. We've all been waiting for this, right? Yeah. So overall, before I even get into the cards, I'd say pretty good. Not everything that I wanted, but hey, we'll just go over everything real quick. So Trigon now costs 1 mana to actually do the level up. So the thinking here is that this will hopefully slow them down a little bit. I'm not sure by how much, because if they do this on turn 1, then they just skip playing a 1-drop, but they can go up the double level and just pay the 1 mana because you start with 1 mana. And then if that's the only Trigon they need to play, then they're not really slowed down at all. It would slow down the decks that like to play multiple Trigons, so that's good. We'll see just how much this helps. We'll still see chickens being played with this because it's so insane to get double aspect on the chicken. So other than that, if you don't play this on turn 1, you know, kind of losing a mana for a little bit, that should help because the decks that run this were tempo decks generally, aggressive tempo decks. So being slowed down a little hopefully helps, but I imagine it's still gonna be played because it's just too good. Maybe the only thing that'll change is people won't just go like ridiculously overboard, but probably they still will. We'll see with the next Masters that's coming up, just how well that looks. Cavalry Field, what a surprise. So they just took away his second ability. That's good because it was stupid anyways. However, I was hoping they changed this and it doesn't give health anymore. I wanted Cavalry Field to just give attack and speed because I don't like the idea of enabling free trades, which is exactly what this does. And the speed boost is a big deal as well. But, you know, baby steps. And the second ability was just kind of annoying, where you could send it to attack and then retreat it, and if your opponent tried to attack it, it could just run away. That was really dumb. So I'm glad they at least did something with it. Blossom is now 1 mana. I mean, it was inevitable it was going to have to be nerfed because the card was just broken by design. And so, you know, generating several mana for free, and you don't even have to spend the mana immediately. You could have just played it and then just wait. So it costs 1 mana. That's cool. We'll see how this affects the artifact deck. The artifact deck that I've played didn't even run this, but I could certainly imagine running it, because if you play this on 3 aspects before it cost 1 mana, then you could just play a Sentient basically for 0. That's pretty good. I imagine it's still going to be really, really good, but probably not insane. At least not until we see more artifacts. This card is still on the radar just because of the ability to just generate mana for free. And that's always dangerous. Whenever you can do that, that's always very dangerous. But I'm glad they at least addressed it, but we might have to revisit it in the future. Horizons was not changed. Boo! Well, you'll never hear me stop this, but I'm hoping this gets addressed eventually. One change that I would be okay with would be just having this give a generic level. And yeah, I know it would mess up the levels of some of the control decks, but that's the point. You know, you're not only getting ramp, but you're getting color fixing as well, and that's just so convenient. And you can even pull out skill shrines, so then you don't have to DO into them. So now that the aggro side has been hit a little bit with the Trigon, and as we'll see with Timea as well, hopefully control takes a little bit of a hit too. I just don't think an effect like this should exist in the game. It's just a little too good. But, blah. Parallel was also not changed. What? I'm very shocked about this one, even more so than Horizons, because everybody agreed that Parallel is just way too good. It's hard removal that draws you a card. Not only that, it's better than just hard removal because you can transform your creature into an enemy creature, and often that's just as good, if not better. So incredible flexibility, hard removal, and card draw, all for 2 mana? What? So I'm shocked. At the very least, take off the card draw. I mean, why does this need to draw a card? It's a good card already. Oh man. Whatever. Timea. So what they done with Timea is they reduced her Valor to 1, but gave her +1/+1. So it's like she comes into play and automatically gives herself the first Might Emblem, and then just only gives one other Might Emblem. That does help to reduce the most obnoxious plays where you bump up 2 creatures and either get 2 free kills or just draw 2 cards, which was really stupid. Now you can only do it with 1. It's still pretty good. One thing you can do now is you can play it on an empty board, and it's a 3/4. That's perfectly good, honestly. Perfectly reasonable. And even just doing a +1/+1 on a creature, even just getting 1 free kill with this, it's still really good. So it'll still be played. It's still good. It's only slightly worse. Very slightly worse. So, I just don't like how Valor works. My workaround for Valor is that when you give something Valor, you give it Summoning Sickness as well, so it can't immediately attack. Or it has to attack first, and then get buffed, because getting free kills with this is kind of unfair, honestly. And just in general with all Valor abilities, it's kind of unfair. Silencer costs 5 mana now. Very surprised that this was nerfed. I know people are complaining about it, but the problem with Silencer was the ramp, that you could ramp into it, not that it was overpowered. So at 5 mana, it seems bad, honestly. I mean, you're basically trading your 5 mana for enemy 5 mana. Now, generally, they'll spend 2 cards, because unless they have a 5 mana card, which they could, Pandemonium has been used against this. Now that's actually really bad. If you play this and then just play Pandemonium, then you didn't do anything. So does that mean we'll never see Silencer again? Some people will be happy about that. And you know what? I guess I wouldn't be unhappy if we never saw it again, because it is kind of annoying to play against. It's just another one of those things that denies your opponent from being able to play, which I generally don't like these kinds of mechanics. I just wish Silencer was redesigned to be something more interesting. You know, it is the 4-aspect wisdom artifact, you know, like a grand reunion type thing. So it should have that kind of an effect. Rather than hampering your opponent, it should give you some kind of an advantage. And yeah, I think we could just have a custom card contest on this. Hey, redesign Jor-El Silencer and see what you come up with, because this is a kind of a... This is not a very fun design, overall. So, Master Hunter is a card I thought would also get hit along with Timea, but wasn't. They could have given it the same treatment, where it's just a 3/2, and only has 1 Valor. They could also make itself 4/3. I think that would have been fine. Master Hunter is less obnoxious, because he is 4 mana instead of 3, and more importantly, he doesn't let you draw cards. So, maybe Master Hunter is okay. We'll see. Again, I still have objections to Valor as it is, but fine, we'll leave him alone. Molten Passageway is now double rage. So that's an interesting solution. Probably better than a redesign. The main difference now is that it's going to be a bit more awkward to run. The reason cards like Bezarok were used is because you could just hard cast them. Now you won't be able to unless you go 5 levels. And I do like the idea of making a double rage, because it should be a card that encourages rage, right? Just like, say, well, actually, we don't have a lot of those kinds of cards, but Lamp of Zafir encourages wisdom in that same sense. So that's what we want. So how will this affect the Demons deck? Since you have to go double rage, it seems that a lot of the corruption cards in that lineup are going to be a lot worse, because they basically become 3-aspect, like stuff like Harpies. Yeah, so I think the deck will have to be retweaked a little bit. Maybe they'll actually start putting in some creatures that you can't hard cast, and then you either passageway them out or you reanimate them. You might still end up running Bezarok, it's just that you can't hard cast it. But the core of the deck will probably change to be more rage oriented, so that we might start seeing more Fireballs and Fire Blasts in there. Stuff like that. It's going to be a little harder to self-mill. I'm not sure how they would do that, because previously you could have used Vulture, but that means you have to go Corruption, and if you go Corruption, then this is basically a 3-aspect card, and you do want to play this as early as possible. We'll see what they do with this. I think this is a cool change, and hopefully it'll slow down these decks a little bit. I'm glad they didn't just kill the card, because it is pretty cool. Probably, it kind of shows very much the same way Reanimate does. It kind of slightly limits card design, because no matter how powerful a creature you have, you could just passageway it out. So hopefully in the future they focus more on play boost and making powerful creatures have play boost. So you can't just cheat them out and get the full benefit the way you can with Bezorok, for instance. Haunt now gives you 1 Enchained Soul instead of 2. Yikes. That's a pretty rough nerf. So basically cut the power in half. Damn. Does that mean the card is trash? I think so. Getting 1 soul per turn only sometimes? It's not that good. I think they could have just redesigned it to be like a persistent curse the way Tombs is, and just have it summon at the start of your turn, summon an Enchained Soul. Make it 2 aspect, just so it's a little bit more balanced. But yeah, that would have been cool. And that way it's 1 soul per turn, but it's always, and you don't have to rely on your opponent having specific cards like Portal or Harpy. So, rip in peace, Haunt. I kind of get it. It was a bit stupid with the 2 souls, but I think an opportunity was missed here. So I don't expect Haunt to see any more play. Harbinger of Sorrow. Yikes. Speaking of nerfs, Harbinger gets a pretty rough treatment here. Not only has he lost 1 health, he's now going to summon 1 less Enchained Soul. That's pretty rough. I don't think they needed to take away his health. I get making him not summon 2 Enchained Souls because it's a 4-drop that summons 3 creatures, 2 of which were flying. That was kind of insane. It was just like the best 4-drop you could play. So if they just cut the soul to 1, that would have made it a lot more fair. And considering you have to pay the 3 life, but cutting the health as well. Yikes. Now it dies to all the 3 damage removal. And it dies to stuff like Boar Rider. So, yeah. Seems kind of bad. I don't think it's going to be played that much anymore. Yeah, Demons are not going to want this. Is that Molten Passageway deck going to want to run it? Now they have to go double Rage. It seems difficult to want to run this, because I mean, basically it would be a 3-aspect card. It's pretty crappy stats for a 3-aspect card, so yeah, I think we're just not going to see it at all. I think it's a bit too harsh with Harbinger. And finally, Azorius. So now you have to pay 1 mana every time it triggers. That sucks a lot, because the whole point was you play her, and then she can immediately attack, and if it hits face, you can get the effect. But with the 1 mana, it's going to be very difficult to get the triggers. I know why they did this, because multiple triggers per turn for free were pretty dumb. When you could have 2 Nightbringers on the board, you drop Azorius, drop a Vulture, there's a trigger, everybody attacks, there's 2 more triggers, and then Azorius triggers again. And you just wipe your opponent's entire board, and that was pretty silly. I think they could have just made it so that it triggers once per turn, and that way it's still a good card on curve, but, you know, you can't just, like, get tons of triggers at the same time. Paying 1 mana for each time is going to be kind of hard, because if you want to get the 3 or 4 triggers, having to pay that much extra mana basically eats your entire turn, so yikes. As far as Demons go, I think Demons are just going to cut this entirely, because Demons can't spare mana. They use every bit of mana they have to put bigger Demons on the board to cast Consume or do whatever. I think Demons are just going to go back to pure Corruption. Whether or not they use Comsiant or go back to Enoch, we'll have to see. Comsiant wasn't nerfed, by the way, so it's still giving you 25 life to start and the extra card. The extra card actually only increases your chance of starting with Portal by, like, 3% or something like that. So instead of 70% chance to start with it, it's like 74%. It's not even that much better, but you lose... The extra 5 life, I guess, is kind of nice, but you lose Enoch's ability to heal. So, kind of a toss-up, but I expect Black Demons to still be playable. They're just going to toss Azorius entirely, because it's, I think, too much hassle. Like, you can't just play her on curve without any triggers. It's just not that good. You'd rather play Succubus to start the train. And the Molten Passageway deck could still run her. You could still Passageway her out. Because you could just run Rage Corruption, and that'd be fine. Not sure it's going to be worth it, because all the mill triggers are Corruption based. So it's just going to slow down the deck quite a bit, which is why I think the double Rage nerf on the Passageway is so elegant. It's pretty good, actually. So, goodbye Azorius. We'll be seeing a lot less of you. Might still see a little bit of her, but I imagine not that much. So, that's it. One other important change in draft. I read that now instead of having 3 novelty packs and 3 regular packs, it's going to be 1. Each player brings 1 novelty pack and 2 small packs. So there'll be a lot less spiders and a lot less protoprisms, which is good. That's how it should be. They can maybe increase it to 2 instead of 1 once there's more cards, but not now. Definitely not with only 6 cards in the pool. So overall, pretty good. We got a Masters coming up in a week and a half or so. I'm definitely interested to see what kind of decks we'll see. I imagine they'll still be the same. There'll still be some kind of a Valor deck because Timea wasn't critical for it, just nice. And Trigon is still good, and Chicken and Trigon is still insane. So I imagine that'll still be a thing. So just small nerfs mostly. The Passageway deck is going to have to be reworked a little bit, but I'll leave it to guys like Sanelion and Vanguard to figure this out. And other than that, it's pretty much the same. Parallel is still good, so you could still run the Artifact deck. I think the Celestial Blossom nerf doesn't hurt it that much. Blue Soldiers can still enjoy it, and everything else stays the same. Pretty much business as usual. So, not that much of a change, but enough. So, you know, these small nerfs I think are better anyways, because we don't want to kill decks, we just want them to be less good. So, and that's what this does. So, overall, pretty good result. This is usually the case. I don't think... There have been very few balance changes where things got worse. So this should be good. Only sad about Silencer, because I think it's like a victim of Horizons. I think Horizons should be reworked. And Parallel, probably, you know, if we do an Ivia, Parallel is still going to be banned because it's ridiculous. I wonder if... Because Timea was supposed to be banned for the next Ivia. Maybe it doesn't have to be anymore. Trigon probably still will be. Debatable, though. Because, I mean, if we could run an Ivia with no bans and just the 3-offs, that's a good sign. That is a good sign. So, the less bans, the better. But Parallel, for sure. Fuck that shit, basically. Anyways, thanks for watching. I'll see you guys next time. I don't know if there'll be any more videos before Masters. Unless there's something exciting that happens. Probably not. Oh, wait, I don't know what the next card reveals are. Probably not before Masters. So, I'll see you guys next time. Peace.